a second now, catch my breath. Yeah, I gotta slow down, 'cause when you're near, everything that I planned just goes away. We said that we were gonna take it slow, move carefully, and give it time to grow. We said that we were gonna wait, but I just want it right now. I just want it right now. Can we talk for a second now? Communicate before we break down, 'cause recently so much been standing in the way, and we've been caught up in the glow. Don't you think that we should know where we're going and if we're doing it right? We said that we were gonna take it slow, move carefully, and give it time to grow. We said that we were gonna wait, but I just want it right now. I just want it right now. I just want it right now.
Brand new state, change your name. Covered up scars from your parents' place. It's everything you need to move on. On my neck, wasted breath, trying to get with that someone next. I've never been the type to move on. Yeah, I never thought you were social, and now everybody knows your name. I know you'll take the world over, but I hope you don't forget this place. Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. I know you're chasing my dream. But if you visit my street, don't you forget about me. Not far from the top, you're never gonna drop. Running my mouth for the race I lost. It's hopeless, puddles to oceans. Compare our devotions. Yeah, I wouldn't wanna end your party. Don't pity first or second. First want to know who you think you are. Yeah, I never thought you were social, and now everybody knows your name. I know you'll take the world over, but I hope you don't forget this place. Don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. I know you're chasing
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Revival League Season 2 Upper Bracket Finals. My name is Retro, and we, you heard it right, are here back with Upper Bracket Finals, meaning that the victor of this game will be progressing straight into the Grand Finals, Season 2 Grand Finals. It will be a best-of-5 game between the victor of this one and whoever manages to crawl their way out of the lower brackets. At the exact same time as this game is going on between 5STARS and Arctic Wolves, we also have Lumina Gaming and Eterno battling it out in the lower bracket semifinals, meaning that whoever wins that game will be playing tomorrow, I believe, against the sort of loser of this one. So against the loser of 5STARS versus Arctic Wolves, and that will be an exciting game in itself, meaning, because of the fact that whoever wins that one will be competing against the victor of this one. So it is all to play for all of these teams. Everybody has their absolute maximum game face on. And without any further ado, we are here with Chalet. It is map 1 of this current series, and following it will be Villa and Cafe, which I am personally excited for. I could not be happier about the fact that Oregon and Clubhouse are not going to be anywhere near us. I would like to have seen not Chalet, but you know what? I'll take it. I'll take one map of Chalet if we get to see, 5STARS, if we get to see Villa and Cafe. The bands have been quite interesting. Not too unusual, but still very, very interesting. I mean, Flores, Nook, Solis, the usual suspects, we've seen them banned all the time. Fenrir, still one of those that people are kind of getting used to and trying to understand how he really plays out. I think that he is especially important to ban on this map, and especially in this current particular matchup. The reason for that is that 5STARS love to bring Fenrir on Chalet specifically. They like him in general, but they especially love him on Chalet. So it is absolutely a no-brainer that Arctic Wolves would want to get rid of that operator. Now, this is something that we've been seeing more and more recently, but you absolutely would not have expected to see that about 2 months ago. And that is to see Flores banned, but no Azami follow-up. Of course, Azami is an absolutely crucial operator for both defensive sides. So whoever is on the defense, whichever team it will be, they absolutely want that Azami present. They absolutely want to utilize her to her full potential. With those Kiba barriers being placed every which way they can, specifically that top of library staircase, and especially that chimney position and fireplace as well. Those are absolutely incredibly crucial positions for the Azami to be able to hold on to with those Kiba barriers. So the fact that she is left on the board when Flores was banned is very, very, quite surprising to me. A jump out coming out at the same time as this sort of little push is happening with that Maverick on the supply wall. They have no idea. 2 members of Arctic Wolves are already down. Tony got a little bit caught off guard there on the jump out, and then his teammate got absolutely decimated, as did Tash. Arctic Wolves are absolutely falling by the wayside. I'm just a noob, completely unaware of somebody being at the bottom of those stairs, going down as well. Twift manages to pick up one, denies the flawless round, but with that plant going down in a 1 versus 4, he has quite a battle cut out for him here to try and make something of this round still happen for his team, but it might be as good as over. It's a grand opportunity there to pick up a kill, I think, onto Rebrance, who has managed to pull himself back and away and won't be really giving anything too much to Twift to still find. There's a player looking at him from the window up through the hatch, but a difficult position for him to try and counter. Ooh, and too many vertical angles. It was actually Rebrance on the window that found him there. I didn't even see the outline of him outside, but indeed, he found him there and jumped into the frost mat just as the round ended. That could have been a bit of a a consolation prize there for Arctic Wolves, but nevertheless, 5STARS take the lead here in the first round, but taking that first round, really did not expect them to just absolutely steamroll through Arctic Wolves on this map. I even forgot to mention, not so much forgot to, but I didn't really mention it right away that Tony was going for that jump out and he died to it, just because I didn't think that would really be the end, the beginning of the end for Arctic Wolves. I thought that, okay, well, they've lost that initial opening pick, but surely they're going to be able to recover from that and, bring it down to, maybe a 4 versus 3 or something like that and, really force 5STARS to work for it. But instead, 5STARS completely outplayed Arctic Wolves. That push from the basement was absolutely not something the Arctic Wolves expected. You could see that most of their attention was directed towards that northern side of the map, which is the sort of default push that most teams do end up doing. They go for that Solarium take, they clear out that top floor, they go for the kitchen pressure as well, and then they start to clear out those positions at the top of the library stairs, chimney position. That is the sort of usual default take that you see, and I think that that's something that 5STARS have now readapted to do, considering the fact that there's no way that they're going to be able to pull off that basement push again, especially with the readaptation from Arctic Wolves as well. With that Valkyrie, there's going to be too much information, especially on that basement floor, for 5STARS to really be able to penetrate in through. So they have rotated or readapted to go for a different push, rather, from that other side of the map. And, hopefully Arctic Wolves are a little bit better prepared for this one and are going to be expecting a little bit more, but... Oh, and there goes... What is that, a jump out? Nope, it's Rush that jumped in, actually, and got himself eliminated very, very quickly. I think that's Selberg on the window repelled, not really able to give him any more protection. Zephin with these clutch drones, once already dead, still trying to make use of it, still trying to capture some of these gadgets, still trying to deny some of this utility. He is able to pick up 2 of those ADSs, which is definitely going to work in his team's favor. Or it would have if they hadn't lost Rush so early on, and his grenades with them. Twift and Callum both pick up a piece, leave Keppa and Reports all on their own, and just as I was saying earlier, that hopefully Arctic Wolves are readapted a little bit better to this attack of 5STARS, and they absolutely have. They eliminated that frag potential right away, or that frag grenade potential right away, by taking care of Rush so early on, and then the rest of them just came tumbling down. Not really much that Reaper and Keppa are able to do in this current predicament. Information being given to Keppa that somebody is going to go for a bit of a flank up those Solarium stairs. Not only is that a potential threat, but it's also just wasting so much time that they already don't have too much of. Absolutely no projectile utility to be thrown to clear that shield. So all they can really do is just throw some flashbangs and hope for the best. Keppa taking a little bit of damage. Reaper's trying to push up this piano hallway. There we go. I'm just too new. Pushes up the stairs, loses his life. But they're still not in the clear. There's still a heavy man advantage in the hands of 5STARS. And now as Twip takes down Reaper, and Tony will take care of Keppa as well. Arctic Wolves are able to dust themselves off after that one. After that first round, are able to equalize the scoreline and make this a little bit more secure for themselves. Of course, this is, I've been saying that this is probably going to be one of the most, if not the most competitive matches that we have, throughout these playoffs at all. And unless we have a rematch again in the grand finals, I really don't think that we're going to have as competitive of a game as we will have here, just considering how strong both of these teams are. I mean, 5STARS came into the qualifiers of this season absolutely dominated, had a near flawless streak of 9 games to 1, so 9 wins to 1 loss. Went into the Premier League, dominated the absolute ever-loving hell out of it by beating pretty much everybody. I think they've only had a handful of losses, and even those I think were in overtime as well. So they really had, as close to maximum points as you can get They are absolutely hungry for their position in the Champions League following the relegation series coming up after the playoffs in a week's time. So, you know, they remind me a lot of Arctic Wolves, actually, who had a similar run, and Selberg immediately on a kill onto Twift, who I think was going for a bit of a spawn peek. It did not work out, and he leaves his team in a man disadvantage yet again. I'm actually trying to still find where that dead body is. I think it might be downstairs inside of bar, or inside of games, and I just missed it. Twift coming out with a congrats. To me, it sounds a little bit passive-aggressive, but I also am not too good of a reader of whether something is sarcastic or passive-aggressive, so totally could just be wrong. But as I was saying, Arctic Wolves had a very similar run to 5STARS. They dominated throughout the qualifiers in Season 1, dominated Champions League, and dominated the playoffs as well. Went on to win with a near flawless streak. Actually, not even a near flawless streak, a flawless streak. They did not lose a single game in the playoffs. I doubt that they'd even lost the map in the playoffs, too. So, very, very dominant team. And 5STARS are now following in their footsteps with a similar fashion and are 100% looking for their spot in not just the Champions League, but also in the, you know, list of champions for the Revival League. Tash finally answering back. Callum joining him as well as they take down Selberg and Zephin from a flank from below, I believe, is that where that came from. Leaving 5STARS scrambling here for pieces of something. They still have their Thermite alive and well, meaning that they're going to be able to at least go and try and open that bottom floor wall and straight into the kitchen. Of course, not going to be easy, especially with that man disadvantage. Luckily, Tash is quite low HP, so they might be able to take him down. But time is dwindling away, and there's still so many angles that Arctic Wolves have on lock that 5STARS are going to need to clear to be able to push into this bomb site. Callum with the pre-rip C4. Oh, that is a bit of a whiff. Blows it, destroys his own Cade Claw, and now Reprince is able to open up that wall. Kappa takes down Callum. I'm just a noob sitting at the top of these stairs, just waiting for somebody to peek him, and they do not want to do that. There's a bit of a cross being set up, and now Kappa takes down I'm just a noob, who is not aware of a push coming out from bar. He did seem to be having a bit of an incline, but just wasn't able to do anything with it. Tony escaping the grips of death as he takes rush down with the C4. Pushing into the bomb site now is Kappa, who will get shut down by Tash. Tash now taking doing a lot of damage onto Reprince, and with about 10 HP to his own name, he's able to win that round for Arctic Wolves, who take the lead now for the first time in this map, and are definitely breathing a lot more clearly following that initial loss back on round one, or back in round one, I should say. 5STARS had everything going for them in that previous round, attacking the way that they did, especially having that initial man advantage from the Twift spawn peak. They just weren't able to hold on to that man advantage. That flank up the fireplace stairs that took down two of their players absolutely was their downfall. They managed to bring it down to a 3v2 and then a 2v2 after that trade with the C4 upstairs onto Rush. Unfortunately, they were just not able to hold on there. Reprince and Kappa both ended up dying to the player inside of West Main. I don't know if they would have been able to do much even if they had been able to isolate that player, just because of where at that point Tony had been located, which was upstairs with hatch control. There really wouldn't have been too much they were able to do, because he would have been able to maybe isolate them in return. But of course, with them having at least site presence and site control, it really could have turned around. But of course, we'll never know. And now, with their fourth round of defense, Arctic Wolves have decided to relocate themselves downstairs into the basement rather than going for the top floor defense. And a cage trick is attempted by Tony. It will fail. The wall will get opened up. And of course, that Vulcan canister being blown open on the wall not only means that there's a little bit of utility wasted from Arctic Wolves. Of course, it's one of those Vulcan canisters that is not going to be able to get utilized later. but it also means that Arctic Wolves cannot aggress onto that breach and maybe try to find something, as we've seen them do before. They're a very, very aggressive team, one of the most aggressive teams that we see in Revival League in general. So, probably not something they're going to be able to make use of. But now, Tony relocating one of those remaining Cade Claws down to the other wine wall, just to make sure to cover that off, to not allow anything to happen. Rush, get it upstairs and mezzanine. Ooh, that's a nice shot there onto Callum. Using, of course, these fuse charges to do a lot of vertical destruction on the floorboards or in the ceiling of the bomb site itself. Keppa taking down Twift. Tony getting up close and personal on this breach, whipping just a little bit there. Finding the kill onto Zephin. Managing to make use of that. Tash, in the meantime, finding one onto Keppa as well. Very, very important frags there. Fuse charge. Blowing everything up on the roof. Tony doing a lot of pot shots there onto Reprints, who finds him on the rotate back. For a moment, I thought the Reprints had no idea, but I'm Just a Noob finds Selberg on the opposite side of the bomb site. Tash and I'm Just a Noob now alone, holding down the fort. Reprints went for the drop down the hatch and got caught off guard by I'm Just a Noob. Inside of blue, it's all down to Rush. The diffuser has been displaced inside of Connector, and now with one of the players chancing a run upstairs, it's going to be a lot of work for him to do, and it's actually going to be a Thor trap at the bottom of the stairs that will be the death of him. And that was placed in a really weird place where there's really nowhere for him to run away. Arctic Wolves take a significant lead now here after that initial very, very dominant round for 5STARS. And even, I would say, a very dominant round there. A very good retake from Arctic Wolves to not let them get away with it. Also, I'm starting to worry a little bit for 5STARS not really having any dedicated flank watch. Despite having a Nomad, there really hasn't been a way for them to not die to these flanks. I mean, it's now 2-3 rounds in a row where they pretty much the only reason why they lost that round after being in a very dominant position. I guess I'll give them, it is actually 2 rounds, considering the fact that back on round 2, it wasn't so much down to flanks, it was more down to just head-on positions or head-on gunfights that they lost. So at least 2 of the 3 rounds that they lost have gone down to the fact that they got flanked. And that worries me greatly, because that's not something that 5STARS are able to adapt to here on Chalet, which isn't a very flank-heavy map. I truly am terrified for what's the common Villa and Cafe, which are very heavy flank heavy maps, especially Villa. I truly worry about the sort of decimation that we could see Arctic Wolves get up to once they are in a very flank heavy map against a team that doesn't really care about flanks all that much. Zephin already with a lot of information about Twift's current whereabouts with that clutch drone. Another drone gets shot. Twift very aggressive here inside of Solarium. Finds the kill onto Selberg, who was not expecting that at all, and the information that they had was a little bit lackluster because they really weren't able to do anything with it. Twift pushing down the stairs now finds Rush, who had no idea and no information about Twift pushing down. This is exactly what I was talking about. They are getting flanked left, right, and center, and they have absolutely no answer to that. This really could become a problem. You know, they've only got 1 more round after this of attack, so they're going to be able to maybe, readapt and retake when it comes to their defensive side. Of course, we've seen them do this before. They went to a 5-1 split against the Turno just the other day on Chalet and went on a crazy comeback, but I don't know that Arctic Wolves are going to allow them to do that here again. But that's really not that much of an issue because however this map turns out, Villa is a very, very big map. As is Cafe. Flanks are notorious on both of those maps. And if 5STARS don't sort themselves out where they have a Nomad who doesn't die first, so they are able to utilize the air jobs, but they're just not placing them, I guess, in places where they can really be that useful, or, you know, their drone game might be a little bit too try, because Twift had absolutely no business finding those 2 kills. Finally, Zephin, hacking that camera, is able to find some information, is able to know that Callum is down below. Blew a C4, didn't find anything, thankfully for 5STARS, but again, they've lost not just their frag grenades, but they also lost their soft destruction, so they're really, this is, you know, I hate to say that the round is over before it's over, but there's going to be so much work for them to do. They did manage to push out the player from that shield, but there's still the chimney position and the library for them to retake, which they really cannot do with that amount of time. They've only got 20 seconds to go. Callum is retaking the shield, but is now blind and is a perfect, you know, lamb for the slaughter. Zephin pushing into the bomb site. Reprince finds Twift on the flank. Zephin in the bomb site is able to take down another one, but I'm just a noob is there onto Keppa. Reprince is so far away from sight, even when Zephin had control. Does not have enough time to make anything happen. Arctic Wolves go on to a 4-1 split for now, and are looking to extend that even further here in round 6 onto a 5-1 split, which will be an absolutely terrifying comeback for 5STARS to try and go on to. Of course, they need one more round win. A 4-2 split is not that bad of a split on Chalet attack, but it's still not ideal. You'd want that even split, if not to take the lead on the half. A 5-1 split is 5STARS' worst nightmare here, because I don't think that Arctic Wolves here in the upper bracket finals, where everything matters, are going to just let them get away with a comeback like the one that they were able to pull off against Eterno, and especially because I mean, I spoke about it back then, about how that is such a rare thing to witness. Comebacks like that happen very, very rarely, sort of across the entirety of R6 esports. And, you know, even less so here in Revival League and you know, in the playoffs and wherever. It's such a rare thing to happen. And they might have wasted, or not necessarily wasted, but they might have used up all of their luck, you know, the other day. And I don't know if they have it in them again to, you know, not necessarily get that lucky, but to, you know, have the opportunity to do that again. And Twift, in the exact same position that he got killed on the spawn peak just a few rounds ago, is able to find an opening pick, not just onto Keppa, but onto the Osa as well, who is so crucial to their entire attack strategy here for that kitchen bomb site. Twift, pushing up the stairs, finds another one at the Selberg, and they're just falling by the wayside completely. Twift is still on the run, completely uncontested. A drone gets shot, not going to be able to find any information whatsoever, and he's still engaging these players. Shots brushing past his head. Brush not quite able to find a kill there, and there goes finally punished for that aggression, but not after, or not before, wasting a minute of their time and wasting 2 of their players as well. It's a similar position that they found themselves in before, just a few rounds ago when they attacked this exact same bomb site, but are they going to be able to pull it back by the reins again? I don't know. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm just a noob is in a very far and away roam all the way inside of the supply room inside of games, and I don't know if Rush is aware. It looks like he might have some sort of inkling about somebody being there, and he does find the kill.
A really big fucking hole.
Equalizes the man count yet again. Reaper is blowing open the wall upstairs, trying to gain a little bit of advantage, but of course half the wall is muted, so he's gonna have to settle for a far away angle, which is not really what he wanted, but it's gonna have to happen. Tony, close and personal up on that office door, really could be causing some trouble. Callum in a prone position with that TCSG absolutely shatters Zephin in his head. Tony in the meantime finds Rush. I do believe that was from the office door. All down to reference yet again. 1 versus 3, 30 seconds to go still. He's just a thermite. not a whole lot of utility left in his pocket to be able to utilize here. All of those thorn traps are finding him, and so does the SMG-11 of Tony. Arctic Wolves take a 5-1 lead in the half. 5STARS are on for another comeback, or that's what they're going to have to do to be able to win this map. If they don't, of course, they're going to be taking it all the way down onto Villa, where they're going to be down a series point, and they could just be looking straight into the eyes of the lower bracket. Of course, the advantage of being in the upper bracket finals is the fact that you still have the lower bracket to fall down to. You know, not all is over yet. Your opponent may have advanced into the grand finals, but you still have the lower bracket to fall down into. You still get to play against the winner between Lumina Gaming and Eterno, which, should it be against Eterno, will be a rematch. Nevertheless, though, it will be a quite interesting game, and it could, you know, still salvage 5STARS from losing this season, which they've come so far in after, of course I spoke about this, after dominating not just the qualifiers but the Premier League as well, going hungry for their Champions League spot. To see them come out like this would really be a shame, but at the same time, it's the playoffs, it's the survival of the fittest, and if you can't beat the best of the best, well, you're not the best of the best yourself. First round of their defensive half. A couple of drones already getting taken down. Kappa taking a lot of damage through the wall. Just the same time as an E1D gets blown, giving away his position, but he's able to run away largely unscathed. And he's able to, I think, rotate back down into the bomb site, or thereabouts anyway. The kitchen and dining bomb site is the one that they decided to go to first. Funnily enough, they did not try to go for bar gaming first, and Rush, with an opening kill there on the Tash, rotates back into the bomb site, deciding, okay, I got my one, I don't really need to overextend too much. He leaves that to Selberg. And Zephin, I think, is upstairs as well. Arctic Wolves is droning out, trying to find as much information as possible into 5STARS curtain setup, trying to open up these walls, getting rid of those Kiva barriers. Of course, a lot of utility being displaced upstairs, trying to deny Arctic Wolves from doing anything. A C4 gets blown a little too soon, and Tony stays alive for it. But Rush finds him anyway. He re-aggresses down that hallway, the same place that he killed Tash. He finds Tony as well. And now Arctic Wolves are in quite a pickle, as they do not have their hard breacher alive anymore. They're not going to be able to open up that kitchen wall. They're going to have to funnel in through some of these doorways to try and find this round. The power of the Valkyrie absolutely shines right there, because they were able to find those players. And now a bit of a trade coming out as Selberg finds I'm just a noob. Callum finds Selberg. Callum going out with a grenade, trying to catch Zephyr. He will find him. Twift taking a lot of damage, is able to find Rush, finally finding that refrag. Kappa trying to regress upstairs, decides better of it, goes back down. 40 seconds to go for Callum and Twift. Diffuser is in their control. No C4s left for Kappa. They have, of course, the sledgehammer. They're going to be able to make even more of this vertical destruction happen for above this site and try to find some sight lines onto the defenders. Callum droning out Twift, and Kappa following the drone finds him, or Kappa finds Twift, rather. Callum all alone now, can't retrieve the diffuser, doesn't really have the time, and just as he peeks through the hallway, Kappa finds him. They find their second round, but there's still so much work for them to do. It's still not over. There is still quite a lot for them to do in this particular map, and you know, I don't want to write them off too soon, but Arctic Wolves did not get into the playoffs as the top seed from the Champions League by being a faulty team that just lets a, you know, 5-1 or even a 6-0 domination in the second half just slip away and happen, they will make this absolute hell for 5 stars. And 5 stars, despite winning that round quite confidently, have quite a lot of work cut out for them. It's not all going to be easy. Of course, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it won't be easy. And at this point, 5 stars is the best that they can do. And a real favor to themselves that they are going to have to do is just treat this as just one round at a time. There is only one round remaining in this game. Once that round is over, we win, you know, the entire thing. We win the series, we win the season, everything is ours. That's how you have to treat it when you're this far down the rounds, and when every round matters, and every round could be the match point round that Arctic Wolves take, and then they could just go for a silly rush, take the entire map, and take you to a map that you might not want to go to just so soon. Basement bomb site decision coming up from 5 stars, bringing the Bandit rather than the Kaid, or bringing both the Bandit and the Kaid. But what I was gonna say is that Zephin will be guarding that wall with his life to try and Bandit trick as much as he can, which might be a little bit easier to do against or might be a little bit harder to do against an Ace, but already took down 2 of those Selma charges. Or took one of them, but that kind of looks weird on the wall there, but Callum is able to find Rush through the floorboards from upstairs. Reaper's taking a little bit of damage, not really sure how, but he took a little bit of damage. And now, with having isolated Rush and taken down him quite early on, it does leave them in a pretty good position to just start wreaking havoc upstairs and find as much information as they can. Selberg still upstairs, just sort of lurking, roaming. Callum dropped on the hash, so he's not going to be really engaging with him anytime soon, but Selberg still upstairs, and especially if Arctic Wolves don't know about it, which I don't think that they do, could really be a problem, especially with all 5 of them alive, so nobody really dedicated to watching drones at this point. Could be a bit of an issue. Tony rotated around to the other side, trying to maybe go for the wall up there. I'm just a noob in the IQ, finding those Cade Claws and trying to help his team out as much as he can. Twift now has some idea about the player upstairs, but Selberg ends up the victor of that one, taking down the Lion. A grenade did manage to destroy that Cade Claw, so they were going to be able to open up that wine wall, give themselves an entrance, and now Tash is on the alert to try and find. I thought that was him that killed it, but no, it was Tony with the kill at the Zephin, and Tash, who was trying to find Selberg. I do believe Selberg by now has retreated back into the bomb site. Keppa with an impact grenade out the wall, won't really find anything. I'm just taking a little bit of damage, and now they're starting to flood into the bomb site. Tony finds Reaper, but Keppa is immediately answering on the Callum. All down to Keppa now, 1v1! But it's Tash from behind him to find that kill, and Arctic Wolves are on match point. It was the hatch drop that was all too fated to be in favor of Arctic Wolves. Not much that Keppa could do there. Such low HP. With that collapse into the bomb site, I'm surprised that he stayed alive for as long as he did. I thought that he was dead already halfway through all of that action that was happening. But now, this is the exact same situation that 5 stars found themselves just a few days ago. Of course, I've been speaking about that 5-1 split, but this is the exact same situation. It was, they managed to win one round, and then their opponents won the other, put themselves on match point, and 5 stars had to take it from there. Our 5 star is going to be able to do it here. You know, really no way of knowing. They're going to have to absolutely, you know, get their fingers warm and ready for this challenge of a lifetime. Just don't know if they're going to have what it takes to be able to pull that off. And not even so much that whether they're going to have what it takes, but it's also whether Arctic Wolves are going to let that slide. And just from that round where 5 stars had everything in their favor for a little while there, Arctic Wolves just prevailed. And if they are going to be able to do that again, I really don't see 5 stars taking this one home. course, there's still Villa and potentially Cafe to play out, but 5STARS starting out on the wrong foot. It's not going to help them. Not going to help them at all. This is a Bar Gaming defense now, and it looks like Arctic Wolves are going for the exact same push that 5STARS did all the way back in round 1. It was the only round that they had won of their attacking half, and it was a similar push to what we were seeing here, except it was a little bit differently set up, as where they had that Maverick and they tried to go for a little line in that supply room wall to cut off any rotations between the bomb sites through that particular room, and it looks like that's exactly what they're setting up to do. Zephyr a little bit too wise and too aware of that. Selberg waiting for them from this vertical angle, finds the kill into Twift, taking down the Lion and taking down one of their players, their star players so far. Callum too quick on that trigger, finding Keppa. Nobody contesting these vertical angles anymore. Selberg has rotated away to the other side of the mezzanine, just allowing them to do it, but Rush is retaking that position, taking down Callum. And gaining them, wow, what an advantage. Rush miraculously surviving that frag grenade. If Tash only knew how close he got to that kill, he would definitely be kicking himself for it now. Rush, just 1 HP now, stays alive, gives the illusion that they are all in perfectly good health, and makes Arctic Wolves just a little bit more wary than they might be if this was a 3v3. 65 seconds to go now as they're trying to make their way through the office. Of course, there will be a Syria gate for them to try and go through, and so much utility displaced that way. Of course, they have the Enoklon to be able to throw through it, or to be able to walk through it, rather. But now all of the rest of their utility will be getting caught by these mine magnets. Zephyr immediately with the swish onto Tash. Rush will find Tony, and Reprints takes down I'm Just the Noob in the bomb site itself. They're able to find another round, but there's still 3 more that they need to find in order to take this map, or in order to take this map to overtime, and to try and make something happen in overtime, to try and maybe take the lead here and hopefully get onto the next map with a serious point in pocket. Of course, something that has been revealed about 5STARS is that they are not that strong on the first map. It is sort of a thing that they like to, not that they like to do, but it's sort of a thing that if you look through their record, whenever they've played best of 3s, they, tend to take that first map to really warm up and to really learn their opponents, and then when it comes to map 2 and 3, that is when they really shine. So it could just be that is what we're seeing here, or it could just be that 5STARS love to go for a comeback on Chalet, or it could just be that they did not expect Arctic Wolves to have their absolute A-game on today, and for them to be absolutely tearing through them, especially Twift, who has been dominating through this entire team all day long. Another Defiance coming out from 5STARS, going into the bedroom and office, a bomb site that we did not see Arctic Wolves bring. They mainly focused their attention onto Bar Gaming, kitchen, and the basement, as they didn't really need much more, considering how strong they were on those particular bomb sites. How is that possible? I think that has to be a visual glitch, right? There's no way for that glass to still... Oh, he shot it through the bullet hole. That's kind of clever, rather. Zephin finds the opening pick there onto I'm Just a Noob, but Callum is there with an answer onto Rush. Zephin now waiting for this upside down peek on the window through the hatch, but Callum, a little bit too wise, won't be going upside down and is instead right side up on the lower half of the window, the half that Keppa cannot see from, or the Zephin cannot see from below. Zephin being engaged a little bit here from the window by Tony. Callum will be taking care of that door. Kepa now cannot rotate through that piano corridor. But Selberg with a jump out will find Callum. Or with a run out, rather. It wasn't really so much of a jump as much as it was a sprint, stop, shoot, sprint back. Regaining that man advantage yet again. Twift taking a little bit of damage here as well. Tony trying to make something happen from the Solarium windows. His Selma charge is getting shot down, but Twift will find an answer onto Selberg now. Those frost mats are still lurking around. They could be finding a victim. That frag grenade yet again missing here for Tash, and Zephan stays alive. Or then so. Tony looks like he's gonna chance a push from that window. Tash looking for maybe another frag grenade from below, but questionable whether that will hit or whether there's anybody really for him to hit. Twift in the meantime trying to put a little bit of pressure here from the opposite side of the bomb site. Frag grenade will be flying through the hatch and up from below rather. Oh, that's a little ill-timed there as the E1D did catch reprints, but just as that frag grenade had gone off, so it did not do anything. Twift clearing the my magnet is all that he'll be able to do. Cannot really clear the shield atop of the piano. He really wanted that gone as he cannot push into the piano room until that's dealt with. But now Tony on the opposite side of the map has rotated and trying to go for a breach into the office wall. They will be able to make it happen, but time is so low, and Zephan has made his way all the way to the bomb site itself. Trades back and forth, but Reprints is all alone now. The plan will not get stuck. Tony had to go for it, had to run for it, but he could not do it. There was just not enough time. Reprints wins that out in the nick of time. Phew! 5STARS like to make it dramatic, and they did just that. It's still match point for Arctic Wolves, but 5STARS are ever so closer to cutting this off at the bud. We're not really in the bud, but just cutting this off and taking this into overtime, and then it is anybody's game. This is... I mean, didn't I say it all the way at the back, at the start of the game, that this was probably going to be the most competitive game that we're going to see all throughout these playoffs? You know, it's not so much that I wasn't lying, but it's also the fact that I've also been surprised by just how competitive this has been so far. Kitchen dining